How you doing? You all right, Tony?
Fuck
I
no,
see your
man.
shorts and stuff, and
Yeah,
you
I'm
got the
ready.
compressed things under it.
I'm ready to ball, man.
We going to LA Fitness after this to go hoop. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, tomorrow.
What's up
You know, I'm
tomorrow?
planning
Yeah.
comedians versus
LAPD.
LAPD. What is it? Chocolate Sundays is hosting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
At Laces High School. So
2 o'clock.
Tony got something to prove out there on the court against the LAPD.
Yep. It's gonna be reverse police brutality because I'm gonna brutalize their ass.
187 on an undercover. Hit him with the yeah, so that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be announcing the game, so I'm gonna be like basically talking like the street ball announcers doing, or giving people nicknames, calling out crossovers, and just talking a lot of trash, trying to keep everybody engaged and keep it fun. It's a positive thing. It's for a good cause. So with that being said, welcome everybody to another episode of For the Culture Live. I'm your host, Nick Alexander. Here to my left is my co-host,
Comedian Bones, Comic Bones. What up?
Tony. How you feel today, man?
I'm upset.
Are you drinking?
I'm happy, but I'm upset at the same time.
All right. How did we get there?
All right, so I'm happy because the Warriors lost.
Yes.
So that's always good.
Yes.
But I'm upset because I'm getting so much flack on my Instagram.
Because
do you see what I posted yesterday?
Nah.
About
Tony's a poster who gets a lot of flack.
Always say some shit, and it's women getting upset at me.
So
well,
what was the subject of the post?
It was basically what I said on the podcast last time. I was saying how it's hard for niggas not to cheat, and that if you have a good man, you know, you should give him a random act of kindness, you know.
In the form of head, I believe that's
yes,
what we mentioned.
That's what I said.
And how did the female audience respond?
Oh, not even female. It's one person in particular.
Oh, okay.
Hit me up, upset. Oh, that's demeaning. It's this, it's that. It's like, look, okay, I get it. I understand. But I'm just giving you a perspective. I'm telling you how a lot of men that I know, how they feel.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just telling you that. If you can't take that truth, if you don't want to hear it, okay, I'm sorry. But I'm just giving you the raw truth about it.
Right.
And a lot of times people can't take that.
Sometimes people just can't believe it can be that simple.
Yes, because when I tell people, sometimes they're like, damn, that's terrible. That sucks that it's so hard for a man to be faithful. I'm like, yes, it sucks that you would have to think of it that way, but it's the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie to you
right.
and sugarcoat the shit to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And then now, you know, they upset at me, oh, you need to apologize for. I'm not apologizing for shit. I used to apologize all the time, you know what I mean? For telling somebody exactly like how I think. And it's just like, no, I'm not apologizing for that shit. Fuck
Right.
that.
I mean, look, anybody can get cheated on.
Yes.
Guy, man or female. It's
Yes.
not like, you know, there's one person who's so all everything that they're not above it. Beyonce got cheated on, ladies and gentlemen. Beyonce.
And it's not to say that, like, oh, the woman should just appreciate him because he doesn't cheat, because he's doing something that, like, he should be doing anyway. It's not like that, because I'm pretty sure that there's things that women do that it's difficult for them to do.
Yes.
And that we should appreciate, too. It goes both ways, but it's not. But for me, I feel like.
For us, we're the visual creatures.
Yes.
Since beginning of time, man has always been a visual creature tempted by physicality.
Yeah, so, like, for me, I feel like with men, the harder thing would be cheating. All right?
Is restraint.
Yeah, it's restraint. With women, I don't know because I'm not a woman.
Right.
So I don't know, like, what's difficult for them. But I'm pretty sure there's some things that they like, that it's hard for them to hold their tongue for certain things. And we should appreciate that, too.
Like, ladies, I guarantee you. I mean, some women check their boyfriend's phones anyway. But if you looked at all the ass videos, pictures of chicks and stuff that we send each other, like, all day, every day, because we are so enamored with how girls look on a visual level. And, I mean, it's like the subject of our conversation. 30, 40% be sports. 30-something, another 10, 20% be, like, errands or life stuff. Another 20, 30% be just women, like whether we would smash, what would we do, how nasty do you think she is. We speculate all these things. And I'm sorry, ladies, I don't think y'all process that the same way. Y'all might share an eggplant, you know what I'm saying, here or there. Y'all might share a little dick pic and make jokes. Like, women will just, like, laugh at a body part. Like, and dudes kind of do that, too, when we make fun of fake asses. But we'll still smash the girl with the fake ass.
Yeah.
Ladies, y'all not smashing the guy with the little limpy dick. That's the difference. Y'all will not take y'all will throw the limpy dick away. The girl with the 2 silicone, when you slap it, it hurts your fingers. We might still smash.
No, all right, let me, all right. how many times have you seen a guy smash a girl just because he needs to bust her? No matter how ugly she is, you see it like, damn, nigga. He's like, man, like she was, the club was closing, and
Yep.
you know what I mean. I wasn't getting no numbers, so I just had to take what I could take. You don't see women do that shit.
Ladies don't pick up closing time.
Yeah, they just like, man, you know what, fuck this shit. I ain't get what I want. I'm going home. You know what I
Right.
mean? Guys will, dudes, most dudes will literally just smash anything because they need to smash.
Which is a credit to your standards, meaning you guys have higher level of standards. You're not gonna settle for the last call when the lights come on guy.
And that's why I
But
said
we
what
will
I
take
said.
the last call girl if it means getting some tonight.
And that's why I said it's harder for men not to cheat because they will literally fucking.
Not even harder. What we are willing to do to get some. I don't know any chick who's gone to the negative balance for some dick. I know a lot of dudes that have gone to the negative balance in their debit card to get some pussy.
Yes.
Put money on that, myself
Yes.
included. I knew I did not have the fucking money to be buying these drinks, and my Chase account was gonna go under. But I knew if I were to get these drinks and get her in the right mood, and we having fun based on how we gonna go out, I would get some pussy. And I conquered. But I was broke. But I conquered. Okay. It's a fact.
It is.
We go into the negative balance. Y'all don't do that.
Right.
So, you know, to get mad because a guy would say constantly that, look, man, I can't help myself, or I'm constantly looking. Women want to have this thing where, like, this dream scenario where, like, I'm the only one you think about and worship all day. And it's just that's not realistic.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. This person told me I was misogynistic, chauvinistic, that it's demeaning.
We
to
all the
women.
istics then. Fuck it.
Yeah, listen, man. I'm just telling you from what I know, from what I see. It's like, oh, but you posted it on your Instagram, so it must be your opinion. No, that might not be how I think. I'm just telling you how most how most guys like how it processes through their head. Don't get mad at me for that shit. I mean, and also like, you know, we comics, man. We say a lot of shit. We talk a lot of shit. Can't take everything we say to heart. You can't.
And for the ones that are, I know these guys who are faithful and don't do anything. That's because they didn't have the gab to just step out and conquer. Like, they lucked up on somebody who really just loves them for them, and they were like, oh, this must be as good as it gets. So why even play with it if it was so hard before?
Or sometimes, like, you don't really know that guy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's happy. He hasn't stepped out. That nigga is miserable. You know what I mean? You don't fucking know. He could be miserable, and, like, he just could be putting on.
Could be.
You
I
know
want
what
to
I mean?
say is, could be.
Yeah, I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying he could be miserable. You don't fucking know. You don't fucking know. You know why? Because you're so fucking like caught up with like, oh, you know, he loves me. He does this for me. He does it. He does that, so you don't fucking trip on him. You know what I'm saying? You gotta want a guy that's gonna do some shit like that because he wants to do it, not because it's gonna make you happy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like I was talking to one of my friends. I was like, you want a guy that's he's not gonna cheat because it's the right thing to do, not because if he gets caught, you're going to be upset. You know what I mean? You want a guy that's going to cheat because he knows to himself that he doesn't want to cheat because he doesn't want to, not because you're telling him not to. You get what I'm saying?
And it's very rare when you find that person where it's just like, man, she's really like all I want in a woman. Like, I really don't need anything else.
Because, for example, if you can get a girl, if you get a girl and she says, look, we're together, I love you, and you can cheat, you can fuck other women, all right? I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 guys will be like, what? Man, all right, cool. That's cool. And then they're going to go do it. Yeah. But you want the guy to be like, you know what? I don't even want to do that. You know what I mean?
He's like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. You know, I only want to be with you. I love you. That's the type of guy you want. Because I can guarantee you, women right now in their relationship, like, you couldn't tell your guy that. You couldn't.
I think the new asterisk should be, hey, yeah, we should be able to just have casual flings when we kind of in search of something or whatever like that. Just don't come home with another chick pregnant, or don't fall in love. That would be the next test. If we really evolved as a society, that would probably be the next test, where it's like, you know, casual fling or open relationships are involved, but you'd have to put the trust in that your partner would not fall in love or have a baby by somebody else. Because when we take it back to like decades ago, when, you know, it was very like, you know, matriarch, whatever, patriarch kind of thing, the guy would come home to the wife, stay-at-home wife. Before that evolved, there was men who were cheating on women and having other families like down the street.
Yeah.
Like,
times have evolved.
Times have evolved.
You can't go back to that.
Yeah, there ain't gonna be no more Joe Jackson like living in Encino and then going across the valley to his other family and allowing that daughter to call him daddy. Meanwhile, all the original Jacksons had to call him Joseph. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucked up.
It's messed up, man. I feel you. I felt you on that, Janet. I remember watching that story and I'm like, damn, she went her whole life not being able to say daddy. Then this girl who claiming that Joe's her father says that she got to grow up calling him daddy. Like,
that's brutal.
I wonder if Joe did it because he knew that girl wasn't gonna be able to sell no records. So he's like, you know what? She don't have the talent to really make me millions, so I'm just gonna give her the privilege of calling me daddy and being a father.
I guess so. Maybe.
Speculatory means nothing. Moving on. So NBA Finals, Toronto Raptors are up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors. They have a chance on Monday night, Game 5, to win the NBA title, bringing the first franchise title to Canada in their history. They're upsetting, some would say the dynasty that's been around for the last 4 or 5 years. Kawhi Leonard has been playing out of his mind. Some people think it might be an asterisk because Kevin Durant is not there, but a lot of people claimed just 3 weeks ago that, hey, look, we ain't have KD. We was able to beat Houston, which everybody considered the biggest threat to the finals. We were able to beat a Portland team, so we can get along fine. But then Toronto's been getting in that ass. And yeah, Golden State has been a little nicked up, and a couple of key players missed a game or two. But when you're the championship team, you're supposed to have, the whole squad ready to go when next man up. So
you still have 3 All-Stars on your
Still got 3 All-Stars. Curry, last time I checked, superstar.
Yeah.
Draymond, last time I checked, all-around All-Star.
Klay Thompson.
Clay, he's missed 1 game, but he's played 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the game he played great last night. He played pretty good the first 2 games. I won't put Boogie in the conversation because Boogie is coming off some serious injuries, and his conditioning is nowhere near what I would need it to be at the level to consider him an all-star caliber player. So I'm putting him as an all-star type of talent, but he's not an all-star right now because I think he just that good game he had on 2, I think was just off pure adrenaline. I wouldn't put that in, and it helped him win that game, but you can clearly see that he's struggling and he's just not there yet conditioning-wise. So they still got 2 all-stars.
Yeah.
And, some
3.
former
Draymond, Clay, Steph.
Yeah. And, then you have, like, Hall of Fame role players like Iggy, some would say.
I feel like Iggy fell off, man. That man cannot hit a jump shot to save his life, except for the one that he hit
when he was
3.
wide open, had the chance to get all his balance. This is Game 3. No, Game 2, because that was the only game they won.
Yeah.
The only game they won.
Yo, Marc Gasol is shooting better from 3 than he is.
I mean, well, it comes to this, like, Iggy, they both have responsibilities, but Iggy has to run around the court more. And I think at age 35, with way more playoff legs and on his playoff miles on his legs than Gasol, I don't know if he just has the talent and everything else needed to just be able to hit threes and still play really good defense. Gasol has to play defense and score as well, and he's been up and down as well. But Gasol, I think his set three-pointer is better than Iggy's set three-point shot. Like, where Gasol gets his three-pointers are always top of the key off the pick and pop, or he'll spot up in the corner. Like, Iggy is sort of like getting whatever is left over, and he's just not making shots. But I think Gasol has had a better reputation since whenever he started shooting threes as hitting these kinds of threes. So he's getting his kind of shots where Iggy's just kind of like getting what the defense gives them when the Golden State's scrambling, and he's just, his shot is off, and I think it's just, he says, I'm an old man, He can have a good game every now and then, but it's when you close to the end of the career, you just don't have it. Like, Gasol is hungry right now. Like, he's finding second life in these playoffs because he's just been deprived of a chance to win a title, so he's giving everything he got. You know what I mean?
And so what do you got to say about his free throw shooting then?
Oh, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
You're a 15-year veteran. You're a wing player. Wing player normally can at least crack 70%. And
he's shooting 12 for 30.
Yeah, that's like
the whole playoff.
You're worse than Shaq right now. You're worse than Ben Wallace right now from the free throw line. That's really bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah, me and Tony, we were hanging out yesterday. We watched the game, and Golden State came out like they were very pumped and motivated. Like they were just playing harder. I think they were running. Toronto really wasn't shooting the ball that well, but Golden State never was able to build a lead, and Toronto kept closing those gaps before the halftime came. And we all know, like, in the third quarter, Golden State's always been having those huge third-quarter runs, and then Toronto was the one that came out with the third-quarter run. Like, they were just hitting shot after shot. Kawhi had 17, and then you just kind of, like, saw them, like, getting a little panicky with the offense. You think they can win Game 5 and force a Game 6?
Mm.
I'm not gonna count them out. I'm gonna give them the respect.
I'm not gonna count them out, but it's tough. You in Toronto.
Yeah.
It's time for us to win.
This crowd wants it bad.
Jurassic Park is jam packed. You know what I mean? Like,
and they haven't stopped Kawhi.
Like I smell it.
You see, they can smell it.
It's right there.
Right.
I can taste it.
But Kawhi got those guys focused. Like they're not smiling. They're not jumping the moment. They're not like giddy. They just all stone faced. Like get the job done.
What do you think? What would you think? They win Kyle Lowry getting a championship before CP3.
I would put it towards circumstances. I think I don't think this means Kyle Lowry is better than Chris Paul because he got the title before.
Better opportunity.
That's all it is. Like if Masai Ujiri, the GM of the Raptors, because he's the only reason why this happened, if he doesn't decide this team has reached the ceiling, this guy, this superstar talent over there who's won before is in a murky situation with a franchise. So you know what? I'm going to say fuck it and swing for the fence. I'm going to make this trade for Kawhi Leonard.
Damn.
If that doesn't happen, the Raptors will probably be another good team, and then they decide to blow it up, and then Kyle Lowry maybe catches on as a veteran presence to another team and, tries to play for a ring, and he could get it that way. To me, yeah, he's got, Chris Paul's been in the league maybe 2 or 3 years longer than him. Actually, no, because he was in the 06 draft. So he's right there with Chris Paul. I don't think it means that he's better. He just that was an opportunity thing. But he could say that he was at least the second or third best player on a championship team. That for sure is going to be proven because he went to the All-Star game. He played fairly good this year, even though his numbers as a scorer dipped, but he was a better passer. He still plays high-level defense. And he came up in a lot of games. Like even though he had some really murky games, but he came up a lot in different ways. And he if you're in a top 3 option on a championship team, that says a lot. But this definitely doesn't put him better than Chris Paul for sure. No way. Chris Paul, unfortunately, a lot of things was he was hurt some of those playoff runs, and he was on teams that just didn't. I mean, they had talented teams, but they just never had the team that could really get over the hump. Those Hornets teams were good the first few years. And then he had that one big injury, I think, where he had to have the surgery, and that kind of changed his game. Then he got traded to the Clippers. The Clippers had 3, 4 All-Stars, but they weren't deep. They were very thin. And when those guys got hurt, same sort of thing. Blake Griffin would go down, or Chris Paul, then that changed their whole roster. So then to Houston, they got really close, and then he hurts his hamstring when they're up 3-2. So I can't be mad at Chris Paul's career. He just.
I heard he doesn't like playing with James Harden.
They said that he had some issues. It wasn't more so he didn't like playing with Harden. He didn't like the offense that they were playing.
Yeah,
the ISO system.
Jalen Rose broke it down.
Yeah.
He's like, James Harden is a really good player, but it's like when the ball's not in his hand, he's completely disengaged in the offense.
Which is weird because he wasn't always like that. When I pointed to the coach, Mike D'Antoni, who decided to just let's go all in and just give him the ball and let him run majority of the possessions. Where Chris Paul is let's see. The NBA's been around 70-something years. Most of the teams who have won titles, they get credit because of how well they move the ball and pass the ball. They play together as a team. And granted, we have this great individual, but there's been other great individual players who can score lights out before James Harden. But we think the best possible way to a title is just putting the ball in his hands most of the game, whether it's pick and roll or in ISO scenarios, and only maybe pass the ball when there's 3 seconds left on the shot clock. If you're a superstar point guard like Chris Paul and you're considered one of the greatest point guards of all time, I would absolutely can understand why you have an issue with that offense and why the coach is forcing that. I don't think James Harden necessarily wants to do that, but the coach is empowering him to do that. So it's you're in a catch-22. I don't think – yeah, and I just think that's just a dumb offense they're running. I like the way Kevin McHale coached the Rockets, even though they fell short and got beat. But when he coached the Rockets, that's when Pat Beverly was the point guard. And, Harden, ran the ball and he scored, but other guys would handle the ball and they would do different things. So, that's just a style thing. That's I can't even put that on James. And I don't think there's any real beef. I just think this is a competitive person. You lose really bad where everybody thought you should have won the game because they had the advantage of, I guess, with KD being out, and you blow 2 games in a row or 1.5 games. That's just if we're playing and when we used to play together with our childhood buddies, and the coach just said, let's put the ball in Vernon's hands the whole game and ISO, and we had to just watch Vernon or Phillip do ISO the whole game. When we all know that we can score and do different things, we can create. It's maddening. So that's just you heat of the moment in the game because they played great together last year and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
I think it's just how they went down losing. So,
yeah.
I don't know. They said the Rockets might move some guys around. You know, they want to give Mike D'Antoni an extension. I wouldn't give him an extension. I just let him play out. He gets one more year to prove that he can win, and then you make a decision from there. I wouldn't reward him because he just always, like, he folds like almost every fucking conference. He gets you to the conference finals, but then he folds.
Yep.
So if you find him will be in the Final Four, that's great because it's like, yeah, you're gonna be good in the regular season. You're gonna make the playoffs. You're gonna have deep runs. But if you're not trying to win if you're trying to win a title, I don't think D'Antoni is a guy because he hasn't proven it. So, you know, it is what it is. So you got winning game 5. Who you taking?
I think I got the Raptors, dog. They got the momentum.
You just gonna go off momentum?
Yeah, they
and
got the
just how
momentum.
playing?
They home.
They home.
Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there.
And let's give some credit to the guy who holds us down with the sounds in the video. Also a very funny comedian, Paul. Paul just said that Raps been the best team that could take Golden State. So this ain't nothing new, according to Paul. And Paul you have Toronto closing it out? Yeah. So Paul says he's putting it out there in the universe. The Raptors will close it out and win the NBA championship Monday night. Haley, what can you say to anything about what's going on right now? Haley just gave me a nice smirk. She says, hey, just keep moving, man. I'm just here for the shits and giggles. Let's move on. Let's talk about
the fucking Beehive. We talking about the Beehive.
Oh, yeah, let's keep it. All right, let's keep it there before we change subjects altogether. So, Tony, let's break this. Let's talk about the incident, and you can go into it.
One of the owner's wives, one of the Golden State Warriors' wives, Nicole Curran.
Okay. Married to a minority owner.
Yes. Beyonce sitting in the middle, Jay-Z sitting on the other side of Beyonce. She leans over to Beyonce to ask Jay-Z what kind of drink does he want. And the camera caught Beyonce like making like a face, like I guess she was like uncomfortable because the girl was kind of like leaning over her.
But it's a snapshot, right?
Yeah, it's a video.
It's a video.
But she wasn't like all up on her. But in the snapshot, it looks like she's like all in her personal space. And Beyonce kind of like had this look on her face of disgust. But I think that's just her natural face. Like, she got resting bitch face. And then everybody in the Beehive has fucking lost their fucking minds.
Yeah, they harassed this woman.
Yes, they went on her Instagram, they harassed her, verbally abused her, sent her death threats.
That's just ridiculous.
These people have a mental illness, dog.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
To send death threats over like a little video footage of just somebody in a conversation where it just looks like you're ignoring one person to speak to the other.
And Beyonce finally
said something.
She was like, hey, man, y'all need to stop. It's out of control. It really wasn't that big of a deal for y'all to be doing this. Mm-hmm. And knowing them, they probably don't give a fuck. They're still going to, wild out and stand for...
B doesn't know what we doing for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You look in the comments, all you see is fucking bumblebee emojis. I'm like... Like, these people have no fucking lives.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my Nick Hive be quiet. They don't give a shit about nothing I do. So, yeah, I think people definitely need to learn and not blow things out of proportion. I mean, man, social media and this time we live in is just so crazy. It's just like a woman just having a conversation with another successful whatever some person and, like, gets dragged for it to the point where she had to cancel her accounts and she was crying and you depressed her out because... Yeah. It looked like she was just ignoring the wife of another famous entertainer, to get a conversation.
But they're all sitting together.
They're all sitting together in the group.
They've probably been talking all night.
Yeah.
She was just, like, making sure, like, hey, you said you wanted this, right? And he was like, yeah, vodka lime or some shit. If you could read lips, that's what he said. She's like, wait, you said you wanted, what'd you say you wanted?
We'll make sure we get that for you. Yeah.
She was actually doing him a favor, and y'all tripping like this.
Nah, that's not cool. So, yeah, we don't condone that. And then I hope the wife, gets the courage to come to the next game and, head out and just, try to enjoy herself and not worry about social media scrutiny. And she can get back on posting on Instagram, whatever she was posting before. So, yeah, that's definitely not cool.
What'd you do last night?
What did I do last night?
I got a story for your ass. What'd you do last night?
I went to rehearse with Cornbread Kitchen to get ready for the Black Twitter show. That's going to be Sunday, June 16th at UCB Sunset, 8:30. Go ahead.
Nice plug-in.
I had to do it. So tell me what you did, Tony.
So one of my friends that I've known for like a little while, she had moved out here to Cali, and I just never seen her, right? So she hit me up. She's like, oh, you trying to come out? I was like, I'm not doing that. I'll come out. Where we going? It was a club night, BBW night.
Oh, that stands for big black women, ladies and gentlemen. All the
big,
thickums.
beautiful women.
What color were they though?
They were Hispanic, whites.
Oh, so it wasn't
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So big. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies. Big, beautiful women.
Yeah, dog. I ain't gonna lie. At first, I didn't know what it meant. I walked in there. I thought it was baked barbecue wings. I didn't know what BBW stood
You really
for.
didn't know?
I really didn't know.
Uh.
And then like she had to tell. I was like, yo, what is stand for? She told me big beautiful woman. But yo, I ain't gonna lie. Like you go to a regular club and like the girls just be all prissy and like they got their drinks in their hand.
Them girls was dancing.
No, they was dancing, dog. They know how to party. They got a drink in one hand, a drumstick in the other, and they fucking twerking, dog.
Drink in one hand and a drumstick.
They were fucking. They were getting down.
You was getting busy?
No, I was chilling. I was chilling.
You
man.
punk. You
chilling,
ain't
man.
dance with them?
Nah,
You ain't dance with those queens?
They queens, but I was just
All
staying
right.
to myself.
Tony's a shy guy.
I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Uh-huh.
Spike Lee, but yeah.
Were you at least encouraging? Like, go, bitch. Like, you do that?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
of course, hyping them up and shit.
Cool.
But
Not bitch. Go queen. Go queen.
yeah, they can say bitch, we can't. You know what I mean? It's just like when we can say nigga and white people can't. You know what I mean? But yeah, like that shit was pretty crazy. And then when I went in there, when she told, like before we got inside, she told me it was a BBW thing, right? So I'm just like, oh, okay. So I'm just gonna be around a bunch of big people. I'm gonna be out of place. They're like, hey, nigga, you under 250 pounds? What the fuck you doing in here? You know what I mean? Nah, it was a lot of niggas like me, skinny niggas. Skinny niggas love them big girls, dog.
Mm-hmm.
They love them because I walked. I was like, oh, hold on.
Where was this place?
This was in it was in Whittier.
Damn, you drove out to Whittier, California?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I ain't had shit to
You
do.
don't. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, I'm down for a good time.
Yeah,
for
so
an
like-
adventure.
Yeah.
How
So,
far was that from Hollywood, or from where you are?
Oh, from North Hollywood, it's like 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, Whittier's up north. Okay.
Yeah. Cause it's like east
Yeah.
a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was fun. Just like, and then like it was like the crowd that's like 28 and over.
Mm.
So like you had like some old school niggas in there, and like this is one old school nigga who had the headband on, right? And he had like these big hoop earrings, like you know how Michael Jordan used to have his hoop earrings, but he had the ones that were like really big, like the ones that Rodman used to wear, like the one like the one that he wears in his, like he had it in his ear.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh my god, what? I'm like, they are literally stuck in their era. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they played to that night.
Yeah, I just pray when I get old, like I don't get stuck in like the 90s, 2000s shit. That I'm able to like.
I don't see you
evolve.
wearing super baggy jeans and 3XTs at a night.
Right,
at a
like
certain night.
you evolve, right? But these old people, they did not evolve.
Like I would go if that was like the theme, like to make fun of that
Yeah.
era, and then you come out with the
Yeah,
the jersey, basketball, football jersey, a la Joe Budden.
for real, yeah.
Okay, but you had fun though.
Oh yeah, it was fun, man.
Would you go again?
Yeah, I'll go again. Hell yeah. No, you gotta understand. I like to people watch.
Right.
So like going there and just like look at all these people like doing crazy shit. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this shit is funny to me. It's fun, but it's funny to me too. So like I just enjoy that.
That's
shit.
just funny when you say drink in one hand, drumstick in the other. So you had some chicken?
Nah,
You didn't even gonna try out the chicken, man, and support their food?
nah, I had no wings, dog.
Ain't no wings, dog. Yeah, you already had wings earlier, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm winged out. All right, so let's get into the big comic book movie that's out this week. This is X-Men: Dark Phoenix. It's considered to be the last movie of the X-Men franchise before it goes into Marvel. So since 2000, when the very first X-Men came out, that was a property of 20th Century Fox. And what the backstory behind that is when Marvel was really broke and bankrupt in the 90s, they sold the rights to a lot of their properties so that they can try to get back in the red and do that. And one of those properties being sold was X-Men along with Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. So meaning that they would receive money, but actually they didn't. They weren't making anything from the 20th Century Fox had the creative license to do whatever they wanted with the movie, so they would see fit. But a lot of the 20th Century Fox movies, most of them, have never featured people from the Marvel team creative-wise. So all these movies that you watch, X-Men, X2, Last Stand, the Wolverine spinoffs,
It's just X-Men.
have been just 20th Century Fox teams and writers, but there has been no Marvel involvement outside of the Deadpool movies, which was a thing because when Deadpool broke out, there was Marvel people working with them, but still 20th Century Fox was the studio behind it. And that has led to what most would probably say an uneven franchise. Like there have been a couple of solid, good to decent X-Men movies out of that gate, but then there've been a lot of bad ones. Partially due to studio meddling. You know, and I give you this in Hollywood terms, so meaning when the studio interferes with what the creators were trying to do, whether it's the writers or directors, and to change things or to cut things down because they want to simplify it, and they really just want to go towards the thing that attracts more box office money. But sometimes trying to make something PG-13 or meddling with story can make the film suffer. So that happened with a lot of films. Now, Bryan Singer, who directed a lot of the X-Men films, was a really good director, and I think most would say, you know, even though it's a little dated, X-Men would still kind of hold up to the principles of what we loved about X-Men, whether you watch the comics or watch the 90s animated show. I would say X-Men 2 was probably one of the best ones, X2 United. Things really went wacky in X3. Now, in X-Men 3, Bryan Singer left the franchise to go direct Superman Returns. And they had Brett Ratner, who directed the Rush Hour films, come to do X3. Now, that was considered one of the worst X-Men films because of how they treated one of the popular storylines of the Phoenix, which is when the mutant Jean Grey gets interacted with the Phoenix on a space mission, and the Phoenix has cosmic-like powers that already enhances Jean since she's a big-time telepathy and also telekinesis. And she becomes super powerful but becomes in control of her powers. It evolved from Phoenix, and then when she gets corrupted by the Hellfire, then that's when it becomes Dark Phoenix or whatever. But they toyed with that storyline completely, and it just didn't. And the movie was just a mess. You know, the storyline was pretty weak, and characters just wasn't good. So after that one, you know, it got panned, and they decided, well, you know what? Let's take a break from X-Men. Let's just do these Wolverine spinoffs, and then they had X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, the X-Men Origins Wolverine was problematic because of what they did to establish a timeline in which the 1970s was when he kind of like joined Weapon X and got the claws or whatever like that. Because then when they tried to bring the X-Men back, they had to start from like the 60s and the 70s, and then it got super confusing because it's like, well, what present time were the original X-Men movies? Because then how old are these characters supposed to be? So then they had all these characters who maybe Professor X in the 60s, which is understandably why he would be an older man in the first X-Men films, in Magneto and those kind of characters. But then what happened was when they started doing these new X-Men films, they just not show these niggas aging. Magneto has the same hair look, and we're going on 40 years now. This new X-Men is supposed to be set in 1992 for Dark Phoenix. The first class one, which was a good one when they decided to redo the X-Men films, was set in 1963 when he's a young man meeting Professor Xavier. So 63, then the Days of Future Past, they were in the 70s. Then Apocalypse, they're set in the 80s, and none of these niggas age or get old. That's problematic to the timeline.
Dog, did you
ever think about that?
Yeah, they just got to scrap the whole thing and start from the top.
Start from the top. Well, then what they did was in Days of Future Past, they had a future timeline where things were going to shit. The Sentinels were created. Now, the only thing that was bad about that movie was the justification about how the Sentinels became so powerful. They tried to say that they were adapted from Mystique's powers and used to adapt to mutants' abilities. But the flaw in that is that Mystique can only take on forms and not powers. That would have been the comic to do that from was Morph, because I believe Morph could turn into you and do your power or have your ability. So that was a nitpicky flaw. And then the Sentinels could adapt your power, or they experimented on Rogue. It was like a combination of Rogue and Mystique, where Rogue takes on your power. So that does make sense. But they didn't show Rogue. They cut her off from the film, so you never really saw Rogue in the movie. But they had her in deleted scenes. So yeah, that was a whole flux. They kind of fixed the timeline because Wolverine goes back into the past, into Xavier's conscience, so that he could time travel back, and because his mind wouldn't snap or whatever. He saves the 70s and prevents the Sentinels from doing what they do, and then they also, in a way, stop the future from happening. So then you're like, okay, cool, things are kind of back to normal. The future timeline is sort of intact or whatever. But that's one time the timeline got messed with. They do another Wolverine where he's Old Man Logan, where it's just an alternate timeline where all the other X-Men died and it's kind of gone to shit again. He finally dies and is just left with these kids to kind of like determine, I guess, the future of what the X-Men are going to do. Now that timeline is shaky because in the Deadpool movies, you see in Deadpool 2, he goes back into the timeline and changes events, meaning the timeline has been altered again.
Yeah.
So now we're in the 90s. Everybody still looks kind of young. The kids, the Cyclops, Jean Grey, they're kind of justifiably so because the 80s they were teenagers, so now they're in their 20s. So that they're kind of on point with that one. I don't know what's gonna happen once they go up against the Phoenix if she becomes evil or whatever other villains there is. And I don't know if we're gonna see something that should say that there should have been at least one more or like I just don't know how they're gonna end it. Now I've been going on for a while trying to give people context about the X-Men. Tony, have you had any thoughts about Dark Phoenix?
I think I'm just excited to see it. I just want to see.
You just want to see it.
Yeah.
Were you hearing about the problems with Dark Phoenix?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm filling you in on stuff.
Yeah.
So there were rumors that the Dark Phoenix did extensive like reshoots, right? Now, when you tell people about what it means to do reshoots, it's like when you do a movie, you block out a certain schedule that you're gonna shoot. So like for a movie like that on that scale, they say usually you're gonna work about 4 to 6 months on a film, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have all their cast blocked out. You work it out in your contract that you're gonna shoot in these locations, whatever 4 months. So you shoot what you're hired for. Then they start to look at how things run in the edits, right? Now, usually they'll bring actors back for reshoots, meaning just for like small things, coverages that you made. Maybe they just need help to make the film work when they're looking at editing. So they usually, because they have to make their release date, which is the worst thing you can do is put a release date on a film before you start working on it because then you have to rush it to get it to work.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear rumors about a movie needing extensive reshoots, it's because one or two things. The studio's meddling and they're like, oh no, we got to change this. This can't be the story.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting pressure on the writers or director to rewrite the film, and you have to just pretty much reshoot stuff. So if you're shooting extensive reshoots, that means there's a problem with how you didn't like the first version of the film, and you're trying to like do a new version of the film. And there were rumors that there were a lot of extensive reshoots because of issues with the story and the talent, because like some of them didn't want to do characters for that long, or they didn't want to be in it as much. And then there was a rumor that they changed the ending of Dark Phoenix because it was similar to another superhero film that's already been out.
Oh Lord.
I don't know how true that rumor is, but like I'd be reading Twitter and that was just a thing I read. And then the trailer came out, and the trailer I guess just wasn't like that eye popping. Like nobody really talked about that Dark Phoenix trailer was sick. Like what did you feel when you saw the trailer? It was just kind of like, all right, but I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, they got another movie coming out. Cool. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, man, I love X-Men. That's the thing. I mean, X-Men is like one of my favorite things, and they just been so up and down with it, yo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think of the last one, Apocalypse?
To me, like it was okay.
It was okay.
It just almost felt like it was almost like all over the place, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know why it felt like that, but it just felt like that to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. I just felt like it was just like.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think of some of the worst X-Men films?
I think the one that you were talking about with the Sentinels.
Oh, when they go back in time, you didn't like that one?
Yeah, I
okay,
like
that's
that.
actually one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
Okay,
one.
Days of Future Past.
Yeah, that one, because I think it's a thing with me, like when movies like go back in time and then jump back forward and back, like it just
time travel stuff. It's hit or miss time travel. Like you have to do it really well.
Yeah,
like Avengers just did the time travel thing.
Yeah.
It's a hard trope to conquer and make it make sense. It gets very confusing.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about alternate timelines and then events in this timeline and
especially to somebody that like thinks of literally everything. You know,
yeah.
You're like, hold on.
I have to process this.
You know what I mean? And then, like you said, like the nigga had the same haircut in all like.
Yeah, they haven't aged. Like the guys who
like,
play Magneto, Professor X, Beast is understandable why he doesn't age is because his genes are different. But like they do say mutants age slower. But like if you're explaining why in the first X-Men, which believed to be came out 2000, but somebody wrote on Twitter that they said, well, actually they never said it was the year 2000. They said it was somewhere in the not too distant future. Oh. So, but there's still no reason. You had this old ass Magneto.
Yeah. That
in 2000. Like I sent you a picture today where it had it had the guy who plays Magneto. I forget the actor's name. He played Apple. Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He's a great actor anyway. Michael Fassbender. There we go. So they had a picture of him like 80, 62, 73, 92, and then Ian McKellen in 2000. It was like, damn, what the fuck happened to him in the late 90s? Like, just the justification of how he just didn't get older. Like the only criticism we had with Professor X was like, all right, when is this nigga gonna go bald?
Yeah.
Because he had hair, he's like dashing, it's everything. It's like, okay, what's the thing that make him lose hair? Because he had hair in the third one, and it's like, yo, they're in the 80s. This nigga's supposed to be in his 40s now. When is motherfucker gonna go bald? And then they showed him finally losing the hair, and it's like, oh, okay. And now he's doing it. And it's kind of weird, but now I can kind of get the Patrick Stewart vibes because Patrick Stewart was a great Professor X.
Yeah, he was.
So like, yeah, so I'm just the it's just so many weird like little issues with it. But the worst X-Men to me was the Wolverine. That was when he goes to Japan.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And when he's like getting sick, his powers is like whatever, and then they fucking chopped off his adamantium, and he's like and that was just such a dumb because that wasn't like the real story of the of going against the samurai. Like they made this big fucking Robotron samurai dude. It was just really.
Yeah,
I hated that one. That was one of my worst ones. Last Stand X-Men 3 was like it wasn't good. With the first time they tried to do the Phoenix storyline. X-Men Origins, like it's not a good movie, but they had really good action scenes. That was the one with when they had Deadpool in there for like the first 10 minutes, and then then you see Gambit in there, and but yeah, then it was like that was weird too, because him and they had a Sabretooth who was like talking, but he was a good actor. It was just the movie was a mess. I kind of liked Apocalypse. Like I thought you finally got to see them team up and take down like a villain who was really powerful. Because a lot of times it was always like X-Men government stuff, and it's like they're doing powers, but they're never going against a powerful mutant or a group of powerful mutants. Like I always wanted to see the baddest of the good team and then the baddest of the bad team and go at it. And it's like power off, and you just never kind of saw that. But then you finally saw it in Apocalypse because they really, Apocalypse is one of the most powerful evil mutants. So. And that's probably the thing what makes me hate just being in the know of Hollywood stuff because like it kind of ruins your experience a little bit when you're hearing the rumors about a movie. That's why Justice League, I was like, man, I already had all this knowledge about what was going on with Justice League, so I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense why it was trash. Yeah. Like you could just see it. You would get surprised by the trash, the average folk. But then when you kind of know about the trash that's happening, and you see trash, it's like,
I saw that coming.
You saw that coming, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would still say this Go See Dark Phoenix is the last one because when Marvel gets it, the X-Men are going to be really, really good. I promise you guys. Marvel knows what they're going to do with the X-Men and just make it look so much better. And you just be like, wow. Like, just the level of the quality is just going to change. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Last thoughts. Ladies, appreciate your man. Men, appreciate your woman. Okay? It goes both ways. Okay? If ever you hear me talk on here, I'm speaking from the male's perspective because I am a male. I can't talk from a woman's perspective. You hear me talking soft? Because I'm trying not to be upset. So, yeah. It goes both ways. Y'all appreciate each other. Appreciate your significant other, whether it be a man or female, fighting, their everyday temptations or their regular habits to, make you happy or to make the relationship work. You compromise, you do things for your partner does things for you, and that's what makes both of you guys happy.
You have it here, ladies and gentlemen. Ty Sterlin, a.k.a. Comedy Bones, giving you perspective and just encouraging people to just treat each other the right way. So, with that being said, for me, my last thoughts, I got Cornbread Kitchen, our show, Black Twitter show at the UCB Sunset is back next Sunday night, June 16th, 8 o'clock. So please get there. Then we got the after party at Bronson Bar, how we usually do it. Me and Tony about to go play some basketball and live out our NBA dreams at LA Fitness. So if y'all want, come. Well, you can't come get it because we'll be done by the time y'all get this. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna play some ball. Just chill out and enjoy the rest of your weekends, ladies and gentlemen. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else too at comedian. Go ahead.
I think you can drop the For the Culture Live.
Oh, at For the Culture Live first of all, yeah. Podcast, subscribe, rate, download.
And then me, Comedian Bones.
And at Nick of Comedy, NICKOF Comedy. This has been another episode of For the Culture Live. Peace.
Peace.